So, DLC. It's a pretty sensitive topic for most gamers out there, and there are hundreds of ways developers and publishers implement the practice into their games. For Battlefield 4, we've seen the way DLC has been offered to players change as the game matured, moving from paid DLC packs full of content around a specific theme to free content like the Weapon Crate DLC and the Night Operations pack, which have been available to download upon their completion to anyone who owns the base game. Let's look at the premium system first of all, and break down what it included for Battlefield 4. 5 DLCs: China Rising, Second Assault, Naval Strike, Dragon's Teeth, and Final Stand. Additional weapons, gadgets, and vehicles available in each DLC. 2 weeks early access to the DLC ahead of non-premium players buying it separately. Priority in server queues. Access to exclusive double XP weekends. Cosmetic items like exclusive premium dog tags, camos, and weapon paints. And finally, upon buying the premium pass, 12 gold battle packs added to your account. That's a fairly healthy offering of content in my opinion. Now, it costs £40 or $50 on top of paying the same price for the base game. So in total, you're spending $100 to get perhaps the most fleshed out version of Battlefield 4 that EA and DICE could offer you. On top of this, and most likely down to some extremely poor performance issues on release of the game, DICE LA, the secondary developer of the title, decided to push forward with continued support for the game, offering players new maps, 3 nighttime conversions of Zavod 311, Seas of Shanghai and Golmud Railway, a community-developed jungle map called Operation Outbreak, and finally a remastering of the Battlefield 2 map, Dragon Valley. And alongside this, DICE LA has continued to streamline and improve the core workings of the underlying engine by reworking the server connection system and speeding up the rate at which all players and servers update, to make gameplay feel more connected and smooth. And they've also been testing a wide variety of content and changes over on the community testing environment, and including the general public to test those features. Now on face value, that sounds like a very healthy balance of content. DICE and EA could have just stopped after Final Stand, but no, they allowed DICE LA to continue to improve the game and offer the community some free content. Is this how we want DLC to work in the future though? I've never really been 100% sold on the idea of premium, as it has a few issues that impact the game in a more negative way than probably it looks like up front. And for that, I'm going to cast back to Bad Company 2. In that game, DLC maps were free. Nothing was needed on the part of the player to get these maps other than a VIP code. This was a code you got in your game box when you bought it brand new from a store. Pop that in and it unlocked all future DLC, minus the Vietnam expansion, for free. The key point here is that the maps were free. This allowed all players to play on all maps at any point they decided they wanted to play the game. In Battlefield 4, the 5 DLCs needed to be purchased before you could access those individual maps. This created a paywall to be able to play all of the maps, and as such, DLC servers got left behind as not everyone has those maps available. In the future, I'd like to see EA and DICE take the old route and offer any future maps created for the game to be free for any player who simply bought the base game. This way, we'll probably see fully populated servers running all types of maps and not boil down to what we have in Battlefield 4 right now, where most of the time if you want to play Rush, you're going to be stuck in a rotation of the maps that came out with the base game 2 years ago. In making those maps free though, and to use Battlefield 4 Premium as an example, we'd be making a total of 20 maps free. How would that affect the Premium model? Well, game modes on those maps would still be a Premium only offering, which might render them useless in a couple of months when people realise those modes aren't as popular and migrate back to the standard game modes. Perhaps they should be free as well? But now we're getting into the zone where we're trying to make all of the content free, which is unlikely to happen anyway. EA have got to pay for their servers, got to pay for their staff and licensing fees, and DLC content helps to fund that. I'm coming to the point now where I think DLC is most suited. Anything that directly affects a gameplay experience, like new maps and game modes that are built into one of the game levels. Those things should be free to anyone who buys the game. Anything that indirectly affects a gameplay experience, like new weapons, camos, vehicles, gadgets, dog tags, double XP weekends, emblems, anything cosmetic, which some might argue weapons aren't, are okay to be behind a premium paywall in my opinion. On the point of weapons, I'd argue right now in Battlefield 4 there are so many weapons that it makes a developer's job harder to balance them all and to make them feel unique from the rest of them that are on offer to you. Limiting new weapons into the DLCs is a more acceptable method in my mind, as you can control the kinds of weapons that each DLC comes with. Plus, new weapons is always a massive topic within the Battlefield community. We all want more for some reason. I guess more content is better in some people's eyes. And so by putting those into a paid DLC that come out alongside free map packs or in the premium offering, creates a big pull for players who like new cosmetic content to go and buy that product. We have to remember here, EA are a business, and a business's purpose is to make money for its shareholders and investors. For people who don't really care about new weapons and cosmetic content, then they don't have to buy it if they don't want to. But they're still included in the game's life cycle of new maps and game modes. They feel included within the community and are able to play all of the new maps as long as the developer keeps making them. But then, how does that affect the cost of DLCs? Well, in my own honest opinion, the price of DLC, especially in the Battlefield community, is too high. Paying the same amount for the base game and the season pass is not really acceptable in my opinion. I've put up with it up until now simply because it seems to be the way that the whole sort of gaming industry is going, but more recently, especially with Titanfall and Rainbow Six Siege, we've seen a sort of scale back on the DLC model, so maybe it's time for a change. Sure, in Battlefield 4, the premium service offered 20 maps as opposed to the base game, which only had 9 on launch. But then why weren't some of those maps put into the base game anyway? China Rising came out less than a month after release, and we all knew the DLC was ready to be launched when the base game came out. Surely as a smart move by EA, that would have been to have bolstered the base game's content palette, and then maybe people might have found the price parity of a premium season pass and the base game a little bit more acceptable. And bringing all of that information together, here is my overall solution and what I would like to see in the next Battlefield game for its DLC offering. Charge less for DLC. EA is a massive publisher with some of the world's leading franchises to its name. FIFA, NHL, Need for Speed, Battlefield, Mass Effect, Plants vs Zombies, they've even got Star Wars now. Remove maps and modes from paid DLC and bring the return of free map packs. Lock those cosmetic items behind a DLC paywall that releases alongside the free map packs, but charge less for the paid DLC overall. Reduce the price of premium from $50 to $25 as you've lost the maps from the offering. It sounds like a stupid idea, but trust me, you'll have more people playing the game as they have access to all of the maps all of the time, which means they can play with their friends all the time, and with a lower price for the paid DLCs, you'd find more people would be likely to buy it because it's cheaper. In my eyes, it's a win-win situation. The community gets more content in the base game for the money that they paid, and then they see the paid cosmetic content is cheaper than it was before. I'll go buy that, says Joe Blogs. I've got $25 to spare. Let's go for it. Making your game more accessible for a consumer is always going to be valuable. If you're going to charge for content, then in my opinion it should always be cosmetic and not affect some of the fundamental gameplay of the game that you're offering. If you lock maps and game modes behind DLC paywalls, then people aren't going to play those maps for very long, and they're less likely to buy it because they know they're not going to be playing it that much anyway. If you make maps and modes free and make cosmetic content paid, then you're probably going to have a better community feeling overall. That is what I want to see for the future of Battlefield. It would also signify a line of respect from the publishers who sell you the game and the people who play the game. And why should this only apply to Battlefield? I can think of plenty of other games out there that would benefit from this kind of route. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave me a thumbs up down below and some comments letting me know what you think about my proposed DLC solution. And if you've got any other ideas or any other opinions, put those down there as well. But until next time, my name is Westy, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.